Hi, I'm Jordan Mitchell, and I'm going to be interviewing Miss.
Carly Brusky.
Hello.
Hi.
Miss.
Katie Foreigner.
Okay, about MCAT. My first question to you is, what exactly is MCAT?
So MCAT is Montgomery Community Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. So basically we aid and help people in the Montgomery area try to eliminate human trafficking because it is a very prevalent thing in the area.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about what exactly human trafficking is?
Yeah, so human trafficking is modern day slavery. It's an international, worldwide problem, but it's also happening in a high volume here in Montgomery County. It's essentially the exploitation of people.
Okay, where is human trafficking happen most? Like, where are the most common places it occurs?
So human trafficking, again, happens all over the world, but Pennsylvania specifically is a source state, we call it, a destination state, and a pass-through state. So people are trafficked from here, to here, and through here. Basically, it's because we're on the 95 corridor, and we have access to north, south, east, west very easily from where we're located. But Katie knows exactly in Montgomery County where some of the biggest problem areas are.
Yeah, so some of the biggest problem areas are King of Prussia and Philadelphia, and mostly because it is a very crowded, populated area. So it's not like super, like people aren't super focused on other people, and there's a lot of hotels, which is a lot of times where like it's kind of a hub for human trafficking. So it's definitely very prevalent in this area.
Okay, what are the two different types of human trafficking? Because I heard there are differences.
Yeah, so there's sex trafficking and then there's labor trafficking. So obviously sex trafficking involves
So it's sexual exploitation, so commercial sexual exploitation. So through prostitution or strip clubs or massage parlors. And then labor trafficking is indentured servitude or debt bondage. So both of those areas, people are recruited and groomed into becoming part of the life, we call it, and then they're not able to leave. So for a variety of reasons, they can't and don't leave, and then the trafficker or the pimp keeps them there through, again, a variety of different means, whether that's through substance abuse or taking away their ID or making threats against them and their family. So people are then stuck in this terrible life.
Okay, if I see something like this going on, like, where can I go or who should I tell to prevent it?
So MCAT is a great place to go. We do have a website. So that gives you a lot of resources and where you can go to kind of like figure out. You can also go on our Facebook. You could Facebook message us or email us, and we'll be able to kind of help you walk through the process. That's kind of what MCAT's all about, is kind of helping you walk through that process of getting you or the person that you're concerned about in a safe environment.
And that's perfect, exactly what I was going to say. But I would also say, just a quick place to start would be to call the human trafficking hotline, which is 888-373-7888. And they can triage those calls, so to speak, and refer out. MCAT is the leading Montgomery County organization on human trafficking, so we can certainly connect people to the resources that they need and refer out appropriately once they reach out to us.
Okay, since this is such a important topic, how can someone like me get involved in MCAT, or how can I help stop human trafficking?
What's really cool is that MCAT is 100% volunteers. So I think what makes us really special is just the passion behind all of us wanting to be a part of this movement. And taking time out of our day, and some of us work 9 to 5s and then getting involved in that way. So we're always looking for additional volunteers and people who have an interest. So just reaching out to us and becoming part of our tabling events, or if you want to know more, we're actually having a documentary screening. The film is called Chosen, and we're screening it on November 12th, which is Monday night in Hatboro at Truth United Ministries.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me a little more about the movie?
Sure. So it's actually from the perspective of two high school students at the time that they were trafficked. I believe one or both of them are now in college. But they talk through how they were recruited into trafficking, some of the tactics that their trafficker used to keep them in the life, and then how they got out of trafficking and who helped them get out of the life of trafficking. So it's really moving, and it's especially, I think, relatable for younger viewers and for community members and people in social services and other helping professions.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys would like to add?
I think, if we could just maybe touch quickly on a couple of the red flags or the dynamics of trafficking, so that if you were to see it or hear about it, you might be able to recognize it. And Katie, please jump in if you think of anything else. But especially in high school, so the first age of someone who is trafficked is often very young. So as a high school student or in high school, if you see one of your friends or acquaintances suddenly with a lot of nice belongings, like a lot of nice clothing or possessions that they didn't have before, that could be a red flag. Traffickers often use branding, it's called, or tattoos. So if you see any of your friends with a little tattoo that might have a name, that's a red flag as well. Or if someone is presenting as a little bit more submissive than usual, fearful, maybe they seem a little bit depressed, maybe their stories are canned or scripted and they're not being very forthcoming with what they're doing, those are red flags.
Yeah, I also feel like it's not quite a red flag, but kind of just something that you should kind of watch out for, because it is 2018. Social media is a very big thing. You never know who's really behind the screen. So like, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anyone can put up any picture of anyone on Facebook and say it's them. And I feel like a lot of times, especially like younger kids, they'll kind of believe that, and they might go meet this person, and a lot of times that's how they get into the human trafficking. So really kind of just being aware of like who you're talking to online, make sure that you're safe, make sure that like just kind of watch yourself and like watch out for your friends, because especially in this day and age, it's so easy to pretend to be someone else.
And especially if someone's partner is significantly older than they are, that's another thing to watch out for. That's not normal. There shouldn't be like a 25-year-old with a 14-year-old at all. So that's definitely something to watch out for. These traffickers are skilled at what they do. They know how to groom people. They know how to recruit people that are vulnerable. So, if you see something that doesn't feel right or that doesn't look right, trust your gut and talk to somebody about it, because you could be saving someone's life.
Can you guys give me some practical examples of human trafficking?
Sure, yeah. So when we're talking about youth that are trafficked, traffickers often go to places that are all over Montgomery County, parks, arcades, malls, anywhere young people might hang out. That's a potential place where a trafficker could recruit a victim. Trafficking can happen in someone's own house. There's familial trafficking. So it doesn't necessarily, mean that anybody has to be transported anywhere. So it could be your next door neighbor, it could be someone at school, it could be someone you're hanging out with, at the mall. It's really happening everywhere you look, anywhere someone lives, it can be happening.
Okay. Can you tell me about the Polaris project?
Sure. So they monitor the human trafficking hotline, that number that I gave earlier. They see what kind of calls are coming in, and then they're able to compile data and talk about the statistics of human trafficking. So much of trafficking is underreported or unreported, but they're able to say, here are some hot spots, here are some trends that we're seeing, here's the latest data. So they're really the go-to source for accumulating and compiling all of that national data on trafficking.
Yeah, and they also do it by state as well, I'm pretty sure. So you're kind of able to look at Pennsylvania alone and kind of how it's affecting this area. Like there's even like people in Norristown that are in human trafficking.
Okay.
So if you happen to see anyone, going back to just some of the practical ways, we all know people that are a little bit vulnerable, right? So if someone if a youth has multiple runaways or has been or is homeless, if they have any kind of disability that might make them vulnerable to people that are reaching out, pretending to be a benefactor, pretending to care, pretending to be nice, buying you something, showering you with gifts and compliments. This does happen across the board, across socioeconomic status, across everything. So, just be aware of those kinds of things.
Okay. Is there any way that we, who are not directly affected by this, can build awareness for human trafficking?
Yeah, I think just one of the big things is kind of just like watching out for each other. Like, I know that sounds so cliche, but like it really is so important. Like, like if you see like a young girl who just seems really vulnerable, like, maybe like you can kind of tell that her home life isn't great, like, kind of like extend a hand, like, don't let a stranger on the internet be the one that's nice to her, because then she'll be kind of more likely to want to turn to that stranger, or anything like that. Kind of just like watch out for each other, because you never really know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah, and MCAT's core goal is to completely abolish human trafficking. And we do that through outreach, education, networking, collaborating. So if anybody wants to get involved or know more, starting with MCAT in Montgomery County is really the #1 place to go for that. We're out in the community, we're embedded in the medical field with law enforcement across systems. So we want to make sure that we're there to help and to be able to provide information at the drop of a dime.
Okay. Again, I know I already kind of touched on this, but if I do see some of those red flags, like where can I go, or who should I talk to I guess exploit it or try to help my friend out?
Sure, you can always contact MCAT, which is 484-606-6228. That's us directly. Or you can always call the Human Trafficking Hotline, which is 888-373-7888. And if you're interested, even just going online to our website, we have a lot of information on there. And the Polaris Project is also a wonderful resource for statistics and information about trafficking.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you.
And back to our host.